Oh, yes. I mean, the second winners semifinals of the day.
Now, Cloud9, they had two teams going into the top 8, and as we've already seen, if you've been watching, Cloud9 Vortex is out. They are done. This is the last Cloud9 hope going in, and it's kind of fitting that it's the number 2 seed from June coming into this. If they win, guess what we're about to see in those winners finals?
A repeat, the rematch, the classic of Tempo versus Cloud9. But if compLexity can do anything about it, they will, because they were 3rd place, and they're here to prove that they can dance with the best every single time.
They are indeed. Once again, we do have some Twitter polling as well. You guys can follow us at BlizzHeroes, and then let us know who you think is going to win this match by using the hashtag HeroesWC, as well as the hashtag that corresponds to the team you believe will take it.
And a massive shout out to our sponsors for supporting these events, Gigabyte and NVIDIA, allowing Heroes of the Storm to propel itself as a bigger and better esport. So happy to have them on board.
Well, couldn't have done it without them for sure, ladies and gentlemen. So go out there, give them some big thanks, because we are watching a lot of this, largely in part due to them. And, speaking of watching, I believe we have a game ready to go as we prepare the hero draft for you, ladies and gentlemen. What kind of map would you guys want to see?
Oh, yeah!
Finally, the Battlefield of Eternity.
It just says Eternity, but it's actually the Battlefield of Eternity because, well, this is where heaven and hell clash. The demons and the angels fighting for dominance over the battlefield
Of Eternity.
Thank you, guys. Good 1-2 punch right there, I'll tell you that.
We got it.
This is the first time we are going to see this map, so going forward. But the Battlefield of Eternity, I'm going to warn you a little bit right now. On average, we do actually have a little bit of a longer game time. So you might want to buckle up, get a drink, because this battleground is absolutely insane to watch because it's still really new to the map rotation. It did just come out with the Eternal Conflict. We talked about that a little bit earlier, Gilly and I. So, the draft itself could actually be very different.
Yeah, and Cloud9 Maelstorm, representing the demonic side, are saying, no Uther, get him out of here.
That makes a lot of sense. He is the Lightbringer.
Right, no, none of that. They want Asmodan, they want
Diablo.
Butcher. Yeah, those guys, they're cool.
All right, theme team in a money match here for the victor to go up against Tempo Storm. Yeah, it sounds legit. Zeratul 100% as that second ban. Jane has that 100% first pick yet again.
All right, well, I mean, no surprise there. Muradin will be selected for compLexity, opting for a very early warrior pickup here. That's actually, could be signaling yes.
Yeah.
This is a lockdown. This is a roaming composition to try to get takedowns early in the game.
The problem from compLexity, though, is that they did this early, but they don't get any more say in their picks until after the ban phases. So if Cloud9 Maelstrom absolutely does not want to deal with the Butcher, he's very likely on that chop block.
Yeah, they kind of have shown their hand a little bit, but Maelstrom still haven't quite done that. So for sure we're going to see RawrJar picked up. They don't want to have some sort of issue where, because we have Uther already banned, they run into a situation where they have to maybe run with that Lily, although it's always nice, in my opinion, to see the little panda.
I love these picks by Cloud9 because RawrJar, he's a very safe, comfortable pick. DunkTrain loves playing that hero, and Tassadar is very neutral. They're not showing their hand at all. compLexity already showing they want to be a little bit more in your face with the lockdowns, prioritizing that kind of control.
Now, Tassadar is a great pick as we go into the bans. Johanna is actually going to be out because we already got the Muradin. Get rid of the Johanna. You're going to very likely be forced into a Tyrael or an Arthas. We've actually been seeing a lot of Arthas over the last 2 weeks. Malfrion's going to be out there as well. If I had to guess, compLexity is, could actually be the Butcher, but because Tassadar is already on one side, probably going to see a Zagara coming up sometime soon for compLexity.
Yeah, that will be able to give them some vision, and you want to be able to have a vision as there's a big open area in the middle of the Battlefield of Eternity, and you want to be able to see where your opponents are going to be coming from during those immortal fights. compLexity are going to pick up Kael'thas, so they're going to be looking to put more damage on the board, and it will be Zagara picked up there.
Information control, Jake. It's been very paramount this weekend.
And generally what you end up seeing with Zagara on this map is the team will actually run to the very center of the battleground to start spreading the creep around where the demons do, or the immortals do in fact end up spawning. But it is now time for Cloud9 to lock in their last two heroes, and the Lich King himself, Arthas, has been selected.
I can't think of a better hero to have on the Hell's side than Arthas himself. Cloud9 Maelstrom will get one more pickup here. We'll be looking at more damage, but there is Arthas. And of course, he has a ton of lockdown with that Howling Blast, his Frozen Tempest as well. Once he activates it, it'll have a slow, it'll do a lot of damage, and when he's in the middle of the fights, that's exactly what you want to be doing.
Now don't misconstrue this, but Arthas will never be known for burst, but Frostmourne Hungers is not something that you really think about much when you go into thinking about, should I go for an Arthas? He actually has quite a few traits for that on-demand mana return, but as well, damage, level 4, Destruction is a very popular talent for him. And that's another 50% damage on a swing reset. So that's an auto attack, a swing reset, and another attack. That hits actually rather hard for a warrior.
Ooh, this is old school, pairing Kerrigan with Arthas as a roaming comp themselves. Like, all right, you want to go with Tyrande Muradin? We can play that game too. We're going to throw the Howling Blast out and try to combo it because there is no cleanse available on compLexity.
What just happened here?
Wow.
Lily is all that's left, man.
That's
it.
But
Brightwing has a cleanse?
Brightwing is so good on this map.
She's okay.
Whoa.
Look, Brightwing is a former love
Jake.
of my life, and she has fallen so far in this last patch.
Jake, peekaboo. Peekaboo.
It's nice. It's nice. Or you could be Tassadar and you could just use Oracle.
Maybe I've been watching too much Europe have a huge success with the Brightwing on this one. I was really expecting to see it, to be honest. But
we're in America, my friend.
I forget some of these things sometimes.
All right, well, let's check out the poll one more time. Don't forget that you can be voting for which team you think will win so far. You just use the hashtag HeroesWC and the team hashtag that you think will win. So far, it looks like compLexity has got it on lock in terms of the votes.
Yeah, they're really leading the charge. compLexity, everyone loves to see a new team rise to the cause. They've seen very consistent results recently, placing third multiple times. But Maelstrom, they're always sitting there in the second place seat. So this is the time for compLexity to make it count and make the upset happen.
All right, so compLexity, will this be kind of their overcoming their evolution as a team? You know, the number 2 up against the usual number 3. That's a big storyline right there, going back and back as we go back and forth. But compLexity, I mean, who is actually going to be playing those heroes? I'm curious to see if there's any upset with that. I'll let you guys have some fun with it.
All right, well, on the blue side, the angelic side is going to be Blinks playing Lily, Zagara played by Trummel, Hans and Kofalt, RawrJar playing the Tyrande, and Cattlepillar rounding up the team as Muradin.
And on the Hell side in red, we do have Cloud9 Maelstrom with Jaina played by iDream, DunkTrain on RawrJar, Keiwan Pro playing Tassadar, KingCaffeine, such an amazing warrior player, will be on the Arthas, and finally, Kerrigan will be played by Fang.
Fang, of course, famous from Heroes of the Dorm and Cal Berkeley, the team that was victorious in that event, now playing with Maelstrom, a very talented player. But this is Battlefield of Eternity. It's a 2-lane battleground where there's actually just massive open space in the center of the map. It even has a center lane gate in your base. That's how big the map is.
Yeah, and it I believe a tower and well there as well, but no sort of fort or keeps through that. And the objective of this battleground will, of course, be the Immortals that'll spawn in the middle. They're going to be in a fight, just like we see Arthas here, and will he be taken down as RawrJar is on the chase?
Okay, so one of the cool things about Arthas is he has a spell called Death Coil. He can throw it at his enemies or he can cast it on himself, and that's what he did there. That actually helped him stay alive in that battle, so nicely done utilizing the entire kit of that hero.
Yeah, that's a really nice utility, being able to either deal damage or heal, and later on you can even do both with a certain talent pickup. But now we do have both teams trying to get lanes pushed as much as possible. When we have the Immortals start to spawn, we'll see teams kind of moving into that center area, throwing some damage out, or maybe defending their own Immortal, and then trying to move back out. Lane soak is so important in these early Immortal phases, especially because it does take a long time to take down those Immortals in the early game.
Yeah, it's always a very fine dance. You never want to commit. It's always safer to defend your Immortal, but compLexity, they want to break the norm. They say, this demon is in my face. Let's take him out.
All right, and Maelstrom going to choose to defend here as both supports are in the bottom. So RawrJar is maybe looking to throw out a little bit of damage, but the rest of the teams are up here, team members, and a good Primal Grasp is going to go down, but Dwarf Toss will make sure that Cattle stays safe.
All right, well, Lily has made her way up. RawrJar in the bottom lane soaking. That's a big thing we have to constantly talk about, is when heroes do step away to get the soak. If they do want to go for a level 4 timing, that could be the idea that Maelstrom has right now.
Yeah, they've had Trummel up in the top as well to soak on that Zagara, but so has Keiwan Probe in for Maelstrom. So now we do have Maelstrom with a tiny bit of a lead. If they can pick up those level 4, maybe they can hurry and make a play, but it's going to be a quick window. I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, it's almost not a window at all. Catching up with the minions, but RawrJar is going to end up falling. First takedown of the game going the way of Cloud9.
The small window was just enough to make something happen, and they're going to continue to make sure to get into the lanes to soak as we see them moving up. They're very okay with not throwing a ton of damage down on Ilarian, the Angelic Immortal so far.
And Baelith, is that his name?
Yeah, Belith, yeah.
Belith, I was so close, but that's the demon. Someday I'll learn their names. DunkTrain in the bottom lane, just continuing to push against KingCaffeine, using that Frozen Tempest to push them down, but the 50% health has been achieved in favor of compLexity, so that means the demons will reset into a different part of the map.
And I love what Maelstrom's doing here, going for one of these bruiser camps on their side. That's going to enable them to have a good push for them, and maybe from there they can distract their opponents long enough to start throwing down some damage, because they do need to start making sure that if they don't win the Immortal fight, they at least put enough damage down on Ilarian so that he doesn't have a huge shield when he does spawn.
Yeah, it's really interesting. These Immortals have basically a mana bar that's also a shield. It's kind of both. I don't know if you'd call it a shield or a mana bar, because they have a ranged spell while it's active that drains some of it, but also receiving damage will drain it on top of that.
Yeah, and as you guys can see, these Immortal fights, this first one takes a long time, and so we see heroes just constantly moving into the lanes when they need to make sure that they're getting the soaks, make sure that they're picking up those minion pushes. And now we actually have a Merc push for the Bruisers on the side of compLexity, so we're going to have to see Maelstrom rotate down. This might be a time when compLexity can go and try to take out Belith.
Oh, but Caffeine is all by himself. Lunar Flare connecting. He's out of mana. There's no self-sustain, but he will back out. Kerrigan jumping over that wall, trying to find some time to do the damage needed, but it's going to be Baelith going down.
And that means Ilarian will be the one to push. He's going to move to the top. The Immortals always push in the stronger of the two lanes. So in this case, he's going to be moving toward the top, but not a big shield for Maelstrom to have to deal with. So it's not going to be some sort of crazy push for compLexity.
Right. All things considered, though, experience quite even. Maelstrom about to hit level 7, have a very small window, but that will be mitigated in just about an instant, as these towers will surely end up falling.
And there are the level 7 talents we do have. I believe that is the Ravage back to your teammates ability as well.
Yes. For Kerrigan to help her just make sure she has a bit of extra safety. Rune tap for Arthas. Again, more survivability, and a nice dodge there by RawrJar, denying the combo of Fan.
And it looks like a Gravity Lapse will go down on Arthas, but Caffeine is doing a ton of damage to Cattle by just having him stand next to him. But Tyrande will be the one to fall in this fight. So Cloud9 Maelstrom have a good window of time here where they can start working on some of those mercenary camps. They've taken down the Immortal already.
Yeah, the Immortal's down. They didn't take too much damage. They're going to get the Khazra camp. These are actually the siege camp for Battlefield of Eternity, and they do massive single target damage, unlike the giants that throw boulders that actually do splash damage.
Yeah, they attack so quickly as well, so it's something that you definitely want to respond to, or all of a sudden, oh, where's my fort? It's gone. And that's what compLexity you're going to do, rotating up to deal with that immediately.
All right, well, we do see both teams trying to get some poke on either lane across the map. Central revealing the positioning of Cloud9, who are not afraid to step on in and take this wall down.
Yeah, because they did have a nice push on top of the Mercs, they are going to be pushing here on bottom. But on the top, they already have some towers down in front of their fort, so they need to be careful. They did send Tassadar, and it looks like iDream back up as well to help defend that and push back those members. Both sides just kind of evening up the structures, I guess, for Maelstrom.
Yeah, and Maelstrom going for yet another Khazra camp here in the bottom lane, but they know that they're not alone this time. The rotation happening. Cattle going to look and see see that some damage has been dealt to them, so they know they are nearby.
But meanwhile, he's out of position. A Howling Blast goes down on Trummel, but not quite taken down quite so far there. The Snow Crash will drop down, but Caffeine very, very low. The Owl does not connect, and he's still alive. Lily's actually on the chase for him.
That was so close, but somehow Caffeine does get away. Amazing plays by Cloud9, who are about to hit level 10 and unlock their heroic abilities.
There they are indeed, and we already see the Archon as well as Water Elemental. The Ultralisk pickup for Kerrigan as well as Syndragosa and the Ancestral Healing.
All right, well, the Immortals are up once more, but this is a very different situation. Having a one-level lead with your heroic advantage is going to make it near impossible to fight, and that's why we see compLexity just opting to push down these towers. That'll give them a big boost in experience, helping them get the heroic abilities of their own.
Ilarion is already halfway down, and looks like instead Maelstrom, before finishing off this Immortal phase, is going to be moving in. Their opponents do not have their heroic abilities. There is the pull right into the Syndragosa. Kael'thas will be eliminated. Fan is on the chase. A big blizzard hitting Cattle, slowing him down so that he will be taken out as well.
Yeah, 2 heroes did end up falling there. Maelstrom spent a bunch of heroics, but well worth it. They're just going to now make their way up back to that Immortal to take it out.
And this is huge for Maelstrom because look at the health bar of their Immortal. It is completely healthy. If they can take this down quickly before compLexity can throw any damage down by on Beleth, then they're going to have a huge push going down for them.
You guys have seen Haunted Mines many times, I'm sure. This is quite equivalent to a 100 Skull Golem, a max power Immortal, and we can see that the favor is still for compLexity. Again, guys, make sure you use the hashtag HeroesWC and hashtag the team that you wish to see advance into the Winners Bracket Finals.
Looking at the takedowns here, Maelstrom have a 6-0, so they haven't dropped a single hero yet, and they're going to be looking to keep that up as there is Beleth, full splendor moving in toward these structures. An immediate Phoenix goes down to try to zone, but it's going to be tough to zone out Beleth.
Yeah, I mean, his shields are falling quickly, but he still has a big health pool underneath that, which can be utilized, but he will switch to melee mode, so he'll become much more vulnerable in that regard.
And speaking of the Phoenix, looking at a few, never mind, Syndragosa moving in, and now the fort isn't firing. A huge pull to pull Zagara in, but the Lily Jug of 1,000 Cups not interrupted, so she's going to be able to pull RawrJar back from the brink of a takedown, but was not quite enough to save that Zagara.
Yeah, and the thing is, that locked down the structure so that Immortal didn't really take a whole lot of damage. They did manage to get the one takedown on Zagara, like you mentioned, and while they're happy with the damage dealt, they'll just go back to collect more mercenary camps.
With that takedown and the fort down, Maelstrom now have a 2-level lead, where before it was a lot closer. So like you said, they're moving around, feeling very confident, actually taking 2 mercenary camps at once.
And they're going for very defensive abilities. Ice Block, Dimensional Warp, Spell Shield. We have the increased healing there with the Spirit Walker's Grace for RawrJar.
Yeah, Kerrigan's still deciding on that, and it looks like compLexity will be able to pick up 1 Khazra camp, but unfortunately for them, they're going to have 2 moving in for Maelstrom so far, and that's both in the top lane, which has already taken a bunch of damage.
Yeah, and they do have to respond to that, because when you have the Fallen Shaman escorting the Khazra, they just continue to summon those demonic doges, I'm going to call them, and just providing that wall needed for the Khazra to really maximize their damage output.
I think demonic doge, and I see a doge with red eyes, but there is the Syndragosa going to go down. KingCaffeine already going to help his teammates take down this fort so quickly, as it's not going to be firing back at all.
That is the power of Cindy, the big frost worm that Arthas has in his back pocket, and it will be 2 forts down to 0 in favor of Cloud9 Maelstrom with their 2-level lead.
And because of this lead, because of the talent advantage they have, if they can keep this up into the next Immortal phase, it's going to be tough for compLexity to want to venture into that center area. But we saw Maelstrom take down that Immortal so quickly that they really can't afford to have another full shielded Immortal going ham on their structures.
No, ham on your structures is the last thing you want to have happen. Bacon on your structures, that is far more appropriate.
That is, and that sounds delicious. But in the meantime, we'll have to be content with them working toward their level 13 talents, so no bacon quite yet.
That is very unfortunate. But the Immortals, they're spawning in just about 6 seconds. Both teams making sure they're getting towards the center of the map. Not a lot of creep spread on the middle portion of this. This is one thing Zagara could do a little bit better, is get more creep in the center area when you're fighting over the Immortals.
Cassitar's been doing a great job of being even pretty aggressive into the other side of the battleground to make sure that those go down. He even does have that mental acuity, and there they are, once again clearing out the creep. Another thing that Arthas is very great at with that Frozen Tempest.
That's true. You just turn it on, spend very little mana to eliminate. Even we see Jaina going around just taking out those tumors. She wants to be able to flank. Han suspects this, backing on up. Blink's looking once more to see if she is in fact there.
The defensive Phoenix there to protect Ilarion until compLexity can try to get to 13. They're oh so close, but Maelstrom want to be aggressive here. And there is the jump in from Kerrigan, but a great gravity lapse is going to pick her up. She's going to sprint right away. And there is the Ultralisk starting to do a lot of damage, but taking a lot on its own from that Starfall.
Still, the damage is done. Tyrande has been removed from this battle for another 20 seconds. This enables them to work on that Angelic Immortal and really power through its health pool.
It's going down very quickly. It's almost to that halfway point. Cattle realizing it is going to try to come in. Kael'thas throwing out those flame strikes, but we don't have 16 yet, so it's not going to be doing a lot of the big burst damage that we would see otherwise. compLexity realizing that they're down already, going to start working on this Bruiser camp.
Yeah, getting those Fallen Shaman will be nice, but the problem being is that this Angel, well, his days are numbered. He's going to end up falling very shortly, and that, again, the Sentinel will reveal this is pretty much moot.
This is indeed, as we're not even seeing compLexity try to come in here. They did throw a little bit of damage down, so realizing that their opponents were content to just throw down as much damage as they could, they did mitigate the shield a bit, but it's not that much, Jake.
Yeah, it's still got about 75% if my calculations are correct for this Immortal, and he is going to hit like a bacon truck.
The caster math coming in once again, and there is Beleth with that big shield moving in. Like we said before, it does move toward the stronger of the lanes, and it looks like just by a hair it was the bottom one, so it'll be moving in. And look at the sweet spot here for Maelstrom, 16 to 13 for compLexity.
Yeah, Schmatmu rooting for Maelstrom apparently. In the bottom of the screen we saw a nice little shout out from him. We'll see if they can take it all the way, but right now they have a 3-level lead, and yeah, like you said, that sweet spot.
Still looking at some defensive talents they did pick up. They have the Stone Skin for Arthas, as well as the Dimensional Warp for Tassadar, but they got a Blood for Blood as well, and there goes the Syndragosa, more importantly.
Yeah, Cindy went for a ride, just taking everything out in her path, and this keep just got decimated, falling like a stick of butter.
The Ultralisk is also trying to throw out some damage, not doing quite as much as Beleth there, who was going to move into the core. And now there is the middle gate you talked about, so they're opening up another avenue to try to move into the core, and now they've got it as well. So there's plenty of objectives now to pick up. We see some pings going down on all of them. Our camps are going to start splitting up and picking all of those up.
The question is, does compLexity choose the right one to try to contest? If they can find a single hero out of position, like the Sentinel will on Fan, they can really collapse on it. Fan realizes it's a bit too risky to do this. He will back away.
But the collapse is actually happening toward the bottom, so this might be a chance for them to pick it up, but unfortunately it will not be fast enough. So now we have one Merc camp going to Maelstrom. How many more can they get before the damage is done?
Yeah, I don't know. It's going to be tough. The top one's still available. They were suspecting that Kerrigan might be still hanging around. Not at all the case in this scenario, but the rest of the team will be happy to go up there. K1 Pro using that Oracle, getting vision on, and yes, all 3 of the mercenary camps going the way of Cloud9 Maelstrom.
Yeah, Zagara is still a bit back, so contesting this would be very difficult for compLexity, especially because they're down at talent here as well. And now, Maelstrom are going to feel great about moving in here. In fact, they're going to throw down a Primal Grasp, but a great Dwarf Toss from Muradin will ensure that he gets away from that combo.
Yep, just jumping on back into his dwarf hole to stay alive for now. Phoenix does come out, very short cooldown, but Syndragosa locking down all of these structures for 20 seconds. Maelstrom wants to put some damage down onto that keep.
Yeah, they at least want to open up the avenue to the keep, so if they do win the next Immortal phase, which by the way is in 20 seconds, then they will be able to move it straight toward the keep instead of having to wait and dealing damage to the towers and gate instead.
But if I'm not mistaken, Syndragosa is a 100-second cooldown, so it's a little while before that'll be back up. Cattle really assuming that somebody might be lurking in the shadows, throwing out this Stormbolt to scout.
The assumption was correct, but Maelstrom's moving back a bit as they are going to be, once again, just going straight for the Immortals. They're focusing on defending theirs just at least initially. They know that they've got a window here where compLexity do not have the same talent tiers. They don't have that Ignite for the Kofalt there. That's going to be dealing so much more damage as well. So they're going to be very forward here in their placement.
I like how they just have RawrJar in the backfield. RawrJar is starting to work on the Angelic Immortal, taking down its health pool rather quickly, and we have actually Jaina falling back to assist, so now falling much more rapidly. compLexity, they need to make the snap call. They want 16, but this is the one window in which they can try to make something happen.
Yeah, they've thrown down the Phoenix. They're starting to throw a little bit of damage down, but they're not really moving in for a full fight. And now it's going to be harder as well because Belith has switched to the other side, and that means they're going to have to move through the members of Maelstrom who are on the chase.
Yeah, they are chasing on in. There goes the Syndra goes up. Big Maw connecting on two heroes of Cloud9, but the Cups are doing a good job keeping compLexity alive.
And Starfall was able to at least zone away some of Maelstrom, so nobody went down there. Very great job. And don't forget, guys, you can vote on who you think is going to take this match. Use the hashtag HeroesWC, and the team name that you want, it will be compLexity or Maelstrom. Right now, you guys are slightly favoring Maelstrom, who are going to lose Tassadar.
That was a beautiful headwig, the happiest owl in the entire game, getting a full on a takedown, and this will open the gates for them to finally contest an Immortal for the first time in this game.
Yeah, they're going to start throwing down the damage immediately. Maelstrom sitting back a bit. compLexity also, very importantly, did finally pick up 16, so they have that ignite on the flame strike. They're going to throw damage, but meanwhile, looks like Cloud9 not content to sit fully back here.
Yeah, they want to keep contesting. I mean, even without Tassadar, they can stall this out the best they can, because even if they can force a small mistake, they could maybe potentially pick off one of the members, RawrJar or Hans. They're the big targets for Cloud9.
And Jaina was moving. iDream wanted to move around and maybe start throwing some damage down, but a great creep placement did help give the vision to compLexity to be able to see that, so they did push that Jaina back. So once again, they're starting to work on Belith, but they had a full health bar to go, and now Tassadar is back. He's going to start running into the fight. Will he make it in time?
Yeah, well, they have a fair amount of health left, and they actually had Trummel just about out of mana. So all things considered, this is a great scenario for Jaina to step on in. Syndra goes up buying time. Kerrigan will get the takedown, and pulling Blinks out of his comfort zone. Blinks should end up falling here.
Yeah, the Jug of 1,000 Cups will not be enough to keep him alive, and there goes the Howling Blast, ensuring they're able to pick him up. Ancestral Heal will ensure that iDream stays safe, and now Cattle is way zoned out from the rest of his team as well. And Maelstrom are not going to continue the chase. He did Dwarf Toss away. They're going to instead set their sights on finishing out this Immortal battle.
Two heroes are down. The Immortal won't have a lot of shields, but it's quite late in the game, and that top keep will be relatively vulnerable. Collecting those two globes, they should be marching and escorting it towards that top keep.
Yeah, there are two globes that do spawn underneath each Immortal, so that's a very nice way to get your health back up, or if you are going for one of those Conjurers or Region Master traits, it's a very nice reward for the fact that you are in that Immortal battle for so long.
Yeah, it just really allows you to push a little bit more safely. I mean, sometimes you're out of mana, sometimes you're out of health. That just allows you to get some extra value out of your Immortal, and they're going to look to do just that, but Dwarf Toss will juke the Howling Blast.
And do we have Syndergrosa? We actually do not for another 10 seconds, but I think as soon as it's up, we'll see it being dropped as Belith has moved straight in toward this keep. The Flame Strike gonna start doing some damage. They've got some good poke here, but I don't know if it'll be enough to save this keep.
Cindy is making her trip down and locking everything to the best of its ability. The boss just about down to 10% health. I thought he was dancing for a moment, but no, he's just doing some fancy footwork.
It could have been his own way of dancing. That could be it, but now they are, there's no keeps left, but it looks like we're going to see Tassadar have to use a Dimensional Shift to get away, and Maelstrom playing a little bit passively here. They've got those Storm Tier talents, but how can they take this?
It's tough. It's 17-20 with two keeps down. compLexity is on the full-on defensive. They're very much on their back foot, and there are 3 Merc camps available here. Cloud9, they have no reason to back off. They're just going to collect these and then bring the fight back to them. They're so confident right now that they're actually collecting all 3 at once.
That is some serious confidence, and they have the right to be. They've picked up their Storm talents. They've got Rewind on RawrJar for more heals. They've got the Hardened Shield for Arthas as well. And then they've got 2 Bolts of the Storm and the Twilight Archon. So they've got the mobility, they've got the damage, they've got the sustain as well. And what is Caffeine doing here?
He's stalling them out so that they fall behind the Khazra camp. He actually is going to tap them a little bit early, but that way, if they aren't taking the brunt of the damage while the Fallen Shaman get forward with our Demon Doges, they will get extra value.
Oh, such cool meta coming out here from these guys. And we have a contest on this final camp as well as Syndragosa will go down. Cattle is up in front and devouring Maw. Oh, Jaina will go down and out comes Kerrigan from the devouring Maw, completely healthy. We've got Maelstrom on the offense. Jaina is down though, but compLexity has lost both of their healers.
This could be it for game one. Losing 2 heroes that early in the fight with this many mercenary camps about to pressure the core. They could look to end it, but you know what? They say this is a bit of a risk. They decide it's not worth it. Let's just get the Immortal and we can win the game from there.
Yeah, the Immortal is spawning very quickly and compLexity with 2 heroes down and the fact that they're having to constantly defend this base versus all sorts of onslaughts from minions and mercenaries. This means that Maelstrom can go and take out Ilarion very, very quickly and then just keep the pressure going.
Yeah, the 25-ish minute Immortal is going to hit so incredibly hard, especially with max power. If they do get him with maximum shields, you can see the numbers, 4,646, 350. I can't count that high because I'm not a mathematologist, but that's a powerful Immortal.
That is indeed. And already we've switched positions, but compLexity are back out on the field and they realize that this is it. It comes down to this Immortal battle and they don't have their Storm talents. They've got to be oh so careful here. We've got people in both lanes trying to defend, trying to even get back up to 20. They're so close, Jake.
They're rotating up, but a big Maw could really seal the deal. They're almost 20. Like you said, the Storm talents will put them on an even footing in terms of teamfight capability, but their Immortal is already down to about 30% health.
It is, and it's falling even more rapidly as well. And there is the level 20 for compLexity as well. Let's see what they picked up.
We do have the increased avatar, the Kung Fu Hustle, double bolt of the sword, and a rewind on their side. But is it enough for them to defend this Immortal?
It's going to be so hard. Maelstrom still, by the way, have both of their forts up. So even if they were to lose a fight, they can definitely take some risky engagements at this point. But they're still not choosing to do so. They're still really waiting to see. They've got that Oracle. They've got mental acuity to keep dropping that Oracle quickly, clearing out the creep, continually doing this throughout the game.
iDream is just the creep slayer. He just runs around throwing Cone of Cold at the creep at every opportunity. But yeah, they're just slowly chipping away at this Immortal, throwing out Death Coil, throwing out Psystorm, whatever they can. And eventually we're gonna have to see compLexity throw someone back into base because that top lane is completely pushed out with more than 3 catapults on the way.
Yeah, those catapults will continually deal damage to that core, so that's something that they will have to respond to. But for the moment, they've got Cloud9 Maelstorm actually on the back foot a little bit, but that looks like they might be trying to set something up. They've got the vision. Kerrigan coming around, maybe trying to grab somebody if they see somebody out of position with that Oracle.
Yeah, no, the health is still very different when we look at the Immortals, far in favor of Cloud9 Maelstrom, and they're looking for the flank. The perfect Syndragosa is the dream for them to lock them in place, but they do have to worry about Lily and her cups, and she's playing very safe right now. Yeah,
compLexity is defending so much right now, and guys, don't forget, have voting possible. We are 50-50 in this poll. It is so close at who you guys think is going to take this, and there's still time to vote, so make sure to tweet using the hashtag HeroesWC and the team you think will take it.
All right, well, Sentinel will connect an iDream, revealing their position. And Tassadar just going to go regroup his mana at that well. But Cloud9, they can't really just give this up. They don't want to give up an Immortal this late in time. They will commit to a fight at some point in time.
Yeah, it's just trying to figure out how they can get that set up. They're careful of that Maw. They're careful of the vision that compLexity have while trying to give themselves some vision of their own. But meanwhile, still more damage. This core is down to 86% just because of Winions alone.
Yeah, Winions will do that, and that's the advantage of getting those keeps down on your enemy team. Very much providing that threat that is not going away anytime soon. It's only going to get worse.
Well, the Starfall is down. They're trying to maybe capture somebody by making them run through it, but it was, unfortunately for them, Tassadar was able to dimensional shift through. And meanwhile, still we see Ilarion getting lower and lower. Now compLexity has taken down a lot of the health for Beleth, but it's still way in favor of Maelstrom.
Yep, the damage from Kofalt is rather high, but they've actually got a little bit of poke out there. Every time they can step forward to throw out, the Side Storm or anything, it does get the Angelic Immortal a little bit lower.
Well, we've got such a stall going on that Maelstrom are realizing they've got to change their tactics up. So they're going to move in, quickly take out this Fallen Shaman camp, and hopefully because of the push of that, it will force compLexity to answer to this, and then they can finally take Ilarion the rest of the way down.
Yeah, compLexity actually doesn't have a choice here. Their lane's already completely pushed out because of those catapults, and it's going to continue doing that. Once the Fallen Shaman get there and they continue to summon dogs, that's going to be a problem, but losing Tassadar, that changes things a bit.
That is a huge problem for Maelstrom. He's down for 60 more seconds, and compLexity are on the chase, but iDream is right here. He's going for Ilarion. He's dropped the Water Elemental trying to take it down as well. Blinks is going to come in, but so is DunkTrain, and there he will finally fall.
Oh, he actually blinks. The Sentinel doesn't connect, and he's going to go straight for the core. The Fallen Shaman have made it there, and compLexity, or excuse me, Cloud9, they're just going for it. They're going for the throat. The core is at 77% health at this point in time.
Yeah, and the shields are already down, so Cloud9 are going to move straight in toward there. They're getting pushed off just slightly, but it's only a matter of time until Ilarion, or Beleth, makes his appearance there, and the Fallen Shaman have fallen, but it's just a distraction for this Immortal.
Do these distractics work for Cloud9? They have iDream flanking around the bottom portion of the map, throwing out the Blizzard Cone of Cold combo. The core is at 47%, and I think they have done it. That Immortal will hit far too hard at this point in the game, and Cloud9 will take game number 1 versus compLexity.
Well, it took them a bit. compLexity really put on a fight in that center section, especially in that last Immortal fight. They knew that it all came down to that Immortal battle, but it all came down to really those Fallen Shaman. A great change in tactics and pickup there for Maelstrom.
Yeah, forcing the hand of compLexity to figure something out. Jester, what'd you think of that game?
I'm actually kind of jealous of Maelstrom because when that core went down, all that epic loot came out, the legendaries, the set items, big Diablo fan myself. So congratulations, guys, on that booty. 1 point and all those items now going your way. You were looking good, but I did warn out a little bit. As a friend once told me, the Battlefield of Eternity kind of takes an eternity to do. A 27, nearly 28-minute match, and it all came down to, again, like the big stalling in the middle, which is why you take Peekaboo on Brightwing. That aside, we're going to take a look at one of the moments here that actually set us up here very well for Cloud9 Maelstrom. So, back at the level 16 mark. Oh, it felt like an eternity ago. 18 minutes. That was almost 10 minutes ago now that we decided that this is actually a really cool thing to watch. This is where Tassadar had just respawned. Cloud9 Maelstrom, they were really pushing. You can see over into the side here, the health point pools of our Immortals. Not really that different. This was actually a really big push from Cloud9. Tassadar went in, he kind of got caught, and just, well, that sounds very familiar to the very end of that game. But this was a big resurgence for compLexity. They came in, they looked for it, but unfortunately they took too much time. Tassadar comes back in, iDream is there into the bottom lane as well, and as you can see here, that middle fight, well, they've outstayed their welcome, and because compLexity was not able to take that Immortal, they stayed too long. That Vision game really came into big with the mental acuity. They were able to place it up. They get not only the 2 takedowns, they also chase off Cattle here, and now they solidified that second Immortal, or third Immortal actually, of that match, and this was what cleared out the keep, and now started up that catapult pressure, which was always chipping away at compLexity at the end of there. As you saw, the demon coming down, it was already a 65% core, simply because it's a very small battleground, and those catapults do not have too far to go in order to start stacking up. So basically, that point in the game, the clock was all on compLexity, and unfortunately, they were just not able to deliver.
Well, some calm, collected play by Cloud9 Maelstrom. They will take the start of the series at 1-0 in their favor over compLexity, but we know they want to bring it back.
They do indeed. And we will see whether or not they're able to do so. What do you guys think? We want to hear what you think. You can cast your vote using the hashtag HeroesWC, and whichever team you think will take it. Looking at the poll, it does seem like Maelstrom is starting to edge through with that victory.
And of course, you guys can play Heroes yourself. Just head to heroesofthestorm.com for more information as to how you can jump on in and play the game for free. But get on social media, get those tweets in. We're going to go to a commercial break, and we'll see you guys in just a few.
If I'm not playing Heroes of the Storm, I'm either spending time with my family or trying to stay in shape so I can perform better inside the game.
I like collecting Funko Pop action figures, I like hiking, and I also really like going jogging.
I'm taking a class right now at a community college in the morning.
Right now, my life is pretty much getting better Heroes of the Storm, getting better at the game, and trying to make a name for myself and my teammates.
I love all the Blizzard games, so I play StarCraft, WoW, Hearthstone.
Before moving to the house, I used to work a day job at Google. My family at first wasn't too supportive. They're not quite sure, like, oh, you have a nice job, you can just work your 9 to 5. They weren't even like really aware that this was, so they were just really confused when I started talking to them about this at first. They're like, video games? Getting paid? What? No way.
I currently work in San Francisco as a research data analyst.
I love the outdoors. I love to kayak.
What do I do outside of Heroes of the Storm? That's a damn good question.
I'm searching for an apprentice. Someone to train in the art of righteous warfare. Someone to carry my shield, my name, and my crusade after I fall in battle. Not everyone is suited for this life. The crusade is a heavy burden, but someone has to carry it. My name is Johanna. I am searching for an apprentice. Interested?
The grand return of Annoyatron, and Bob, I wish it would end right now.
So this guy doesn't have a sword or anything? He's just, like, annoying?
Like looking in a mirror, isn't it, Bob?
Oh, this doesn't look good.
Like you in a mirror?
That's Hearthstone.
Play it free.
Rated T. So, is he gonna turn that sheep into a devil sword?
That or a squirrel, it's a 50-50 chance. Oh.
Oh, is he okay?
An ogre stepped on him and he's a squirrel, so no.
Hearthstone, play it free. Rated T.
I think we approach the draft a little differently than everyone else. We just try to kind of evaluate how we feel all the things that are currently available in the meta feel to us, and then mostly play a reactive draft style where we look at what the enemy is going for and try to play around that and get something that we're going to be comfortable playing.
Most of the time when we play, we don't care too much about what map we play on, actually. I'm very confident in our ability to pretty much play all the maps, so it doesn't really matter which map we get.
We feel very confident in Blackheart's Bay, which we think a lot of other teams aren't strong on. So I think we're going to surprise some teams this weekend with our map picks and with some of the strategies we have worked out for it.
A lot of teams draft a lot of different ways. We like to change it up. It really depends on the map. We might take something more defensive like an Uther to protect the Kerrigan. But at the same time, we might take something like Kael'thas to, poke behind the Johanna.
Basically, we try to draft a team to put them on heroes they're weak on and to put us on heroes we're strong on. We're not so much focused on the meta rather than taking apart and dissecting every team individually.
Welcome back here to the North America Open here for the month of July. Once again, I'm Solid Jake, joined by Gilly and Jester, and we're getting ready for Game 2, where we have Cloud9 up 1-0 versus compLexity.
Yeah, it is the upper bracket life, at least, for compLexity on the line here. It is a good life, at least if they are taken out, they do move to the lower bracket, but they don't want to go there because it does mean that they've lost that sort of extra life that they'll have with this.
Yeah, nobody wants that life. Like, 2Arc, they ran that life, and now they've run out of lives because they're out of the tournament.
It's all about the life.
It's all about, that upper bracket life. Absolutely, guys. So, a little bit of a longer match. Still a fantastic match overall. We finally got to see the new battleground in Heroes of the Storm.
But let's take a look at one of the player spotlights. We have Hans from compLexity. We're going to learn a bit more about him as a player. Now, Hans, I'm not going to try to pronounce his last name. He likes to play a lot of the murky. Hans has got a bit of a unique play style in the end.
Yep, he does. But, he's also kind of flexible and good on his feet because he passed up a ballet scholarship to Juilliard. That is like the ESL of ballet. you have to go to Juilliard if you're doing ballet.
This is huge. So not only passed up a ballet scholarship to play esports, also won 3 hot dog eating contests.
That
so
sounds very
he's got like a very jack of all trades kind of thing going for him for sure.
I would love to be best friends with him because that is an awesome statistic to have. But on the other side, we also have Keiwan Pro, now playing for Cloud9 Maelstorm. He's been playing with that team for many months now. He is from the San Francisco area, Walnut Creek, just around the corner. And he enjoys rock climbing and tackles expert level terrain with ease.
Likes long walks on the beach there with his teammate KingCaffeine. Yeah. Quite the bromance that they got going there. Reminds me of 2 handsome fellows in Boston, but I don't remember their names off the top of my head. But at the same time,
King Plato and Apollo, yeah.
Yeah.
Well played. But Jaina as a big pick for him, that's not a surprise. Every team so far has absolutely enjoyed a first pick, Jaina.
All right, well, don't forget, guys, that you can vote. Make your vote heard in this poll that we've got going on throughout this match. All you have to do to vote is tweet using the hashtag HeroesWC and the team you think you're going to take it. Dead even so far on the poll.
Yeah, it really is. And again, another massive shout out to our sponsors for making this all possible. Gigabyte and NVIDIA, empowering heroes to be a bigger and better game.
So, of course, we couldn't have done it without them, and because of their generosity, we have a hero draft, all thanks to them. And this is going to be game number 2 of this last set of best of 3. And at 50-50, it's really hard to call, but it's a very familiar map, isn't it, Gilly?
It is indeed. We've seen Sky Temple quite a bit throughout this day, as it's been the battleground of choice for a lot of these teams. And we will see if that's going to help compLexity bring it back. In fact, let's look at an overview of Sky Temple, as it will be the biggest battleground in the pool these heroes can select, or these players can select from. It's 3 lanes. There are a whole bunch of mercenary camps, bruisers, and sieges on each side, as well as that boss in the throw pit in the center. But the big objective is to capture and hold the temples. There's 3 of them, and if you can do so, they will shoot lasers at your opponent's structures. And those lasers can't be stopped other than to push your opponents off of those temples. Also, Temple Guardians will be spawning to try to push you off as well. Capture enough temples and you'll be able to take out your opponent's core.
Awesome stuff, Sky Temple. We've seen this map a lot today. It's become very popular, but the power of the mule is something you really have to consider when you draft.
So, big picks on this one. Malfurion, Abathur, Tyrande, Tassadar. People basically with mule.
Nazebo even.
Nazebo, yeah, sure. Well, I mean, I can't really discount anything this weekend, can I?
No, not with this competition. We've seen the... And, wow, Jaina not making it out today.
100%, no more.
Maelstrom says, we know you want her. We're not giving her to you.
And, of course, Zeratil's out, Miss Gilly. So, what will be our new first pick? The first time we're not going to see a Jaina up first.
I don't even know what to do with myself. I don't know. I guess it's going to be Tyrande, the new favorite. Jaina is out of style. Tyrande is in. She's got so much utility. There she is again. We saw even the Shadow Stock be played here, so we're seeing a lot of different Tyrande plays, sometimes focusing on that Sentinel, being able to focus on her vision. She's also got heals. She's also, of course, got the stuns, but she's also got that Hunter's Mark, which increases the amount of damage that your teammates can do to opponents.
She's quite the Swiss Army knife. I mean, she really helps in every aspect of the game. The pseudo supports are quite powerful in Heroes of the Storm.
Yeah, sometimes, again, I like to call them a little bit more flex as I go into it. What roles can this pick at this point fill? And more often than not, it's a little bit of everything. A little bit of support, a little bit of tankiness with the heals, with the support. Sometimes, Tassadar, for example, really hard to kill, takes a lot of shots. But Tassadar and Tyrande definitely a bit more of a flexible pick going forward. As a first pick, I think compLexity is threatening something here, but Cloud9, they don't really have too many options to reciprocate, so they're going to go safe. Kael'thas not going to go the way of Hans on compLexity this round, and an Uther to boot.
Yeah, just smart, safe pickups here. This is a map where it's going to go relatively late. We know 16 will be attained, and Kael'thas is phenomenal in those scenarios.
Yes, indeed. And then they also have the Uther too. So not only will they have the gravity lapse into the Hammer of Justice, so they've got a little bit of chain stun there, but also if compLexity is trying to make something happen with that Tyrande, looking for more stuns, then at least they have denied the Uther, especially if compLexity was looking at, say, a melee assassin.
So we're not going to capitalize on any kind of big combinations so far there with the Tyrande, but Zagara, Johanna, Zagara very likely to be holding down the bottom lane a bit early, looking to to spread out her web of creep, so to speak, as it goes back and forth. A lot of vision control already now handed over to compLexity, and if they want to kind of keep that advantage, I'd expect to see a Tassadar ban coming up from then, but it's Cloud9 Maelstrom's turn first.
Let's actually talk about Johanna really quickly, though, because Johanna does have a big impact on the game. You can actually see Asmodee is banned out for a big reason. There's a lot of synergy. She has Punish, she has Condemn, and Shield Glare, also known as Flashlight, we like to call it. But she just got such a nice kit that does pair well. But what we do end up seeing in most scenarios is Blessed Shield. Blessed Shield is used to lock down enemy heroes and set up some massive plays in these drafts.
Yeah, Blessed Shield's so nice to be able to throw out and then have your opponents be able to capitalize on it from there. And that is the one we generally most see in that heroics. We don't often get to see the Falling Sword too much.
Yeah. I saw it in the Open qualifiers. I had an epic match that went to all 3 games, Falling Light in 2 of those 3. Falling Sword, I don't even know the name of it because we just don't see it that often.
So uncommon.
But no, at this level, at the top 8 kind of level of play, the national level of play, very unlikely that you are going to see it. So Asmodee, as we alluded to, is going to be a ban here. Kerrigan has a return from compLexity, so Cloud9 cannot actually try to throw a melee their way, but could Cloud9 actually go for the Butcher? Do they want the Butcher, or are they not afraid of it? Having an Uther now in Mirrodin tells me they're not afraid.
Yeah, he could definitely work with this very well. The thing about Butcher is Tyrande pairs incredibly well with him, but against him, it's the same. Taking the 25% additional damage once you charge in is rather risky, and you don't have an escape to level 20 where you do have to spend that Storm Talent on Bolt of the Storm.
Looking at the further bans, it's going to be Kerrigan, yes, and Asmodee as well. So they saw the Johanna and don't want to have to deal with that. Now we've got more picks for Maelstrom. Going to pick up Mirrodin. We see Mirrodin and Uther so often together as they're going to form a really good, strong front line. And then Tassadar as well, so very sustainable composition.
So, as I said, yeah, I would have actually wanted to see a Tassadar as a ban from compLexity. That way there's fewer solo laners, fewer vision control to go the way of Cloud9 Maelstrom. But compLexity, as I said, they're not a fan of Kerrigan, as it seems. So now they're going to be stuck up against the Tass, and that leaves us with a Malfurion, and it has to be some kind of big assassin pick here at the end from compLexity. But if it's not a ranged assassin, I think we might be in a little bit of trouble.
This is a very rare scenario where there will be no wolves today, though. RawrJar not being played. That's an uncommon statistic in this tournament.
That is. He's one of the very, sometimes even first picked up, but it won't be the case here, Malfurion. And Uther will be the ones sustaining these teams through these temple fights so far. Now looking at it, we do have one more pick for each side here. And what are you guys thinking here for compLexity?
Well, I'd like to see a ranged assassin at this point, because all we have really behind the Johanna and to go with the Tyrande is Zagara, and that's not exactly the kind of big burst, especially with those Hunter's marks. Like, the Hunter Killer is going to be great, but at the same time, it doesn't quite pack that punch, but I can't do that call like you and Kubi do, but Nazebo coming back into it.
You called for
yeah, I'm just going to leave that for you right there.
This is clearly going to be a triple mule composition. Exactly what they're going for.
Yeah, that doesn't work anymore. You can't quite snack them. There actually is code in place that says, no deal. It used to be a thing, but no more. But you did actually say we could see a Nazebo, and here he is.
I mean, he's great in the team fights. You talk about the synergy that exists with Condemn, Zombie Wall, Roots. That's a lot of control, and this will actually maximize the damage output available for Zagara. But the final pick is here.
He is indeed, and it's gonna be Falstad. Once again, he'll be flying into battle. He'll be able to switch lanes very quickly as he does have that global presence, and I just got a heck of a lot more excited for this match.
How many times have we seen Falstad? I mean, in June, he was almost in every set of matches, but today I think we saw him once in compLexity, we saw him with 2 Arc, rest in peace, and now at the same time here he is again for our potentially last match of the day. And on such a big map, the global presence is definitely a boon going the way of Maelstrom.
Yeah, it's crucial. I mean, you can get to those temples when you're needed most. Sometimes you can just sit on a single temple, soaking it for a while. But we'll see how they utilize him here in this game. On the blue side will be compLexity, Trummel rocking the Nazebo, Blinks on Malf, Cattle playing Johanna, Zagara played by RawrJar, and Hans gonna be on Tyrande.
And once again, in the red is Cloud9 Maelstrom. They'll have iDream playing Kael'thas, Uther played by DunkTrain, Mirrodin played by KingCaffeine, Fang on Tassadar, and Keiwan Pro playing Falstad.
All right, guys. Well, this, again, is the winner semifinals. You know, the upper bracket between Cloud9 and compLexity. Currently 1-0 match point for Maelstrom to make it to that upper bracket finals.
Yeah, and they've already got a little something set here possibly, but so do compLexity. And this is kind of interesting, both sitting in the bushes waiting for the other to emerge here. Even iDream in the bottom is doing that as well, playing a little game of chicken.
Peekaboo, chicken, all delicious meals.
Indeed. Okay, so we do have, it looks like a lot of heroes down in the bottom. That's not often something that we see in Sky Temple since the first Temple phases are in mid and top. So instead, they're really looking to maybe get a pick here, as we do have both teams. We've got kind of some good potential. We've got maybe a Condemn into Roots or a stun from Tyrande, but we also have Muradin on the other side into, you know, a Hammer of Justice from Uther, Gravity Labs. If you can get some of those chain stuns, you can start maybe to pick up an early takedown.
So we already saw a little bit of the potential that exists between Nazeebo and Kerrigan. And by Kerrigan, I totally mean Zagara. They're both Zerg, so it counts. You throw down many minions, the zombie wall, the roaches, the Hydra, and you can really start to burn through the ammunition and just health pool of those towers.
I kind of like this. If they can just get a really good push on bottom, then they can later on maybe get that bottom temple, and then it'll instantly be able to help take down a fort now. But that is the second temple phase. We're in the first one for now, as Tassadar is going to be able to hold the top for Cloud9 Maelstrom. Meanwhile, the mid is a bit under contention, though.
Yeah, they're very much fighting over it, and it is being held by the side of compLexity for the time being. Uther throwing the stun onto Johanna, gonna be pretty much unfazed, utilizing that Condemn to try to force them away.
And the Spiders are going to start whittling down DunkTrain's health bar, as are the Temple Guardians. And important to realize that if they can kind of hit you with that cleave, they can throw you off of the temple. They really don't want you to be there.
No, they don't. But Kofalt can have a bit of trouble in the bottom lane. Zagara, a much better laner in the early game. Nice zombie wall placement, trying to lock them down. We do see the big Condemn followed by Lunar Flare in the shielding, keeping Cattle alive. Dunk needs to get out of here.
Dunk and Caffeine both low, and even a barrel roll from K1 Pro. So great job of them not getting taken down, but the Malfurion roots are there. The Spiders are on the chase. Can they take down Uther? He was so incredibly close, but I think he will be able to get away.
Yeah, and compLexity, I mean, really just showing their early game. They forced them off that temple. They're controlling the top one with Fan, or that's actually, excuse me, Cloud9 on Tassadar. Nice start to this game for both teams in different ways.
Yeah, they're both being able to hold. We've actually got a little bit of a push still going the way of compLexity too, so that's very nice. But Trummel very, very low, and K1 Pro going to throw out that hammer and barrel roll away, going to be able to pick up that takedown.
Yeah, no Spiders today for them. Slight experience lead in favor of Cloud9 due to all the siege damage that has gone out from those temples. But Zagara has done a nice job pushing out the bottom lane, and the second temple spawn will be there in about 2 minutes.
Yeah, and she's also been spreading that creep as well. Tassadar picking up mental acuity on the other side to make sure that he can stick up with that vision. And Maelstrom did a really good job of clearing out the creep in the last game, so I would not expect any different from them, especially with that pickup.
Yeah, he's so good at it, that's for sure. But okay, the Giants are up. They're going to be collected by both teams, just kind of splitting up across the map. Zagara going back to the lane to continue the soak life and make sure they can get that team caught up to level 7 and reach those talents.
Yes, and speaking of the talents, we do have level 7 for Maelstrom, as they are going to have 2 Gathering Powers. So they've picked up one on Falstad and one on Kael'thas. So they're really going to be looking to try to keep them alive so that they can get those stacks built up. But also a mule coming out for Tassadar.
Yep, the single mule on the side of Maelstrom. I expect compLexity to use that on one of the heroes, but who will it be? Tyrande. She's the one scooping up the mule this time. Gidbin for Nazeebo, and the enduring growth for Malfurion.
And so she does have to give up that Lunar Blaze, but I'm sure they're okay with that, as they will be able to trade mule for mule now. And we do have Maelstrom moving down to the bottom now, trying to throw a little bit of damage on the structures of compLexity now, as once again we've mentioned the bottom temple is next. If they could get some damage on those towers, take them down, and then pick up the temple, that's going to start throwing in more damage on the fort instead.
Yeah, all right. Well, the mule already going to work in that top lane, healing up that fort. Bruisers will push the lane out, keeping it nice and happy. Middle of the map, there's a big presence from Cloud9, but Sentinel will reveal eyes on KingCaffeine. But look at these stats, so even in terms of who the crowd expects to advance.
It's so incredibly close. It keeps changing, but only by a tiny amount. And don't forget, guys, you still have time to throw in your vote as well. Just use that hashtag HeroesWC and the hashtag for whichever team you think is going to take this match.
All right, well, Maelstrom, they do have that 1-0 lead. They do have a slight experience lead, and the bottom temple has spawned. So they're going to fight over this, but once level 10 starts to get closer, that could be a massive timing for either side.
Yeah, and we see Falstad is sitting up in top. That's the beauty of Falstad, is that he can do that. He can soak as much as possible, and now he's going to take flight. He's moving down to the bottom to help the rest of his team, and Nazeebo isn't quite here yet, so this is, for the moment, a 5v4 in favor of Maelstrom.
Yeah, but a nice Lunar Flare buying time, forcing them back. They do control this bottom temple, and they do manage to take out a single tower. Level 10 will be attained.
And there they are, getting so incredibly close. compLexity are going to start to rotate back, at least I thought they were, but no. Cattle is very...
The body blocks! They're really keeping Johanna down here as much as she can have the unstoppable on her trait. If she's being body blocked, she really can't walk anywhere, but she does manage to back on out. She's receiving those heals from Malfurion, but level 10 has been achieved.
Indeed, and they actually, Hinterland Blast immediately goes down to grab that Zagara takedown as well. And now the rest are moving in. Archon is dropped. There is the Phoenix as well. Nazeebo has been eliminated from this fight. Maelstrom picking up their heroics and instantly getting into a fight with them.
I love that call. They realize they take out two heroes, and they want to maximize their lead. Falstad flying to the middle lane to get the additional soak. The temple is out of ammunition, and they are just having the greater presence using that Falstad.
compLexity not going to, or Maelstrom not going to push in on that bottom fort as well. So that is a possibility for compLexity once again to heal it up. Both teams still have all of their forts up, and the mules are going to make this go possibly pretty late into the game.
Yeah, we'll see. Big timing attacks can be possible at this point, though. Well, now we have heroics on both sides. It's going to be Gargantuan Starfall, Maw, Blessed Shield, and the Tranquility on Malfurion.
And looking at Cloud9, they do have the Divine Shield, Phoenix, as well as that Hinterland Blast that we did see, the Archon, and rounding it out, Avatar from Muradin.
All right, while these siege camps being collected, Fan starting to do his work on them. We do have soak on pretty much all three lanes for both teams. Just pretty much posturing, waiting for the next temples to spawn.
Yeah, trying to get a little bit of push with those Merc camps while they can. They've all been taken except for that boss, and we've mentioned it before, that boss kind of in a throw pit, so neither team are going to look to go take that unless they really need to make a risky decision trying to get back in game, or they can get a very favorable engagement.
Okay, well, we can see actually the forts are starting to fall, and as they fall, those keeps or the forts become more vulnerable. Every tower that collapses is just more ammunition going to those key structures, which will award you far more experience.
And Maelstrom moving up toward the top, still maintaining that level lead. They've got about a level, and once they get to 13, they'll have a talent lead as well. And there they are, continually clearing out the creep. They've done such a great job between the Oracle and Muradin as well. And we have Temple spawning up at the top. Maelstrom are going to hold on to this one. At bottom will be another one. It looks like compLexity are going to head to that and try to just trade for now.
Yeah, this is actually one of the situations where it's fun to see how the teams do respond to this. They're actually going to just leave Muradin at the top to try to eliminate that. And we see the rest of the team is rotating because compLexity is starting on this boss, and they do suspect this might be the scenario.
Yeah, and there's the Oracle to confirm as well, and they're going to move off of that. Kael'thas down in the bottom already, trying to possibly challenge Nazeebo for that temple. He's going to move back up again. But meanwhile, look who we have holding the top temple. It's Falstad. If his teammates get into trouble, if they start to get new engagement, if they need to defend that boss, he can instantly fly in and make sure that they have everybody there.
Oh, but excuse me, that's going to be a nice Divine Shield going up in DunkTrain to keep Kael'thas alive. iDream will survive, and they're turning this around. KingCaffeine and Fan have both made their way down, but it is currently, they are lacking that Falstad.
Devouring Maw pulled the Muradin in, but he's going to be able to Dwarf Toss away despite the roots. Falstad has finished the top temple, and now we do still have plenty of shots left on the bottom one, and with these level 13 talents, Maelstrom are going to feel completely fine going in and trying to contest.
Nice roots to buy some time, but we do see Blinks falling very low. This hammer from Falstad going to be enough to get that takedown.
And a great zombie wall zoning on that Muradin as well. He's going to be able to take out Johanna, who was zoned from that Hinterland Blast, really coming into play there. And now the rest of this temple is going to go the way of Maelstrom.
Yeah, suddenly Cloud9 has really just flipped things around a lot. They've extended their lead even further. They're taking 2 temples, which will in the end remove 2 forts, while they still have the mule to keep their structures nice and healthy.
And we do have 13 just about to be picked up for compLexity now, but Maelstrom, they're at 15. So they only need 1 more level until they've hit the next one and maintained their talent advantage. So both teams are going to look to merc up where they can. They've got some objectives available that they can take there. Push back the lanes, especially for compLexity, as they want to try to catch up and experience where they can.
And the other really scary thing is the fact that we're talking double gathering power again. This is Falstad and Kofalt. They're both at max power in that regard, and especially with 16, like you said, around the corner, that's going to be Ignite. Things are really going to start to hurt.
And possibly an overdrive from Falstad too, which will really power up all of those abilities, especially that Hinterland's Blast. But now, so it looks like the Giants picked up, and Maelstrom are going to clear them out, but they're still posturing very favorably around this boss because they know that they're going to have that talent advantage in just a few moments.
Yep, there it is. 16 has been achieved, and it is going to be the overpower and the ignite for Kofalt.
All right, so ton of damage here coming out. And there is the Flame Strike that deals so much damage already. Hinterland Blast is in there. Malfurion gets eliminated already. Nazebo is down, and so is Zagara. 3 heroes down.
That was gross.
Yeah, and Cattle barely getting away with the rest of that line.
He's done.
Oh, no.
That is lights out. Fan will secure this. The boss will be collected by Cloud9. The full 5-man takedown will take a little while, but it will be successful. The Ignite not getting the job done.
Why did you go for the bruisers?
Oh no. Well, the boss is going to be picked up, and the temples will be spawning in the middle and bottom portion of the battleground. And now Cloud9 Maelstrom, they have a very far lead at this point.
Yeah, and despite the fact that both teams have had those mules, Maelstrom have been able to start whittling away at those structures. They've taken out the bot fort, they've taken out the top, there's only 1 remaining, and then they can start working on those keeps. And temples will be up very soon, so they're going to pick up these bruisers. They're going to, that Johanna was unsuccessful, by the way, in picking up with her few hit points. And now, because of this, they're going to have people on both of these temples because compLexity have to respond to the boss.
Yeah, Hunter's Mark will help them deal with it rather quickly, but these 2 temples will take out the fort in just a matter of moments. There are bruisers in the top lane, there are giants in the bottom lane. There's so much pressure that's really just going to force compLexity to respond everywhere.
And the big choice comes in, where do compLexity choose to make their stand? It looks like they're posturing toward both lanes, but it looks like maybe mid is where they're going to try to push heroes off. Unfortunately for them, both of these temples are already almost done.
Yeah, the ammunition about out. The mule should be able to keep that middle keep alive, and in the scenario that both of these temples were shooting at 1 lane, yeah, that'd be great, but not quite the case today.
Yeah, but they only have the 1 mule, so right now they can only heal up 1 of those keeps, and that may be something that Maelstrom can capitalize on here. Instead, they might be trying to pick up a fight here, as if they can catch somebody out, this would be great for them, because for a little bit longer, compLexity are not 16.
Yeah, it's still 15 to 18. A 3-level lead with a talent advantage is quite large. No reason for Cloud9 to play passively. They're looking in, the sprint comes out. Oh, the Stormbolt barely juked. Nicely done by Trummel, but will it be enough for him to stay alive? He stays alive with Influence Blast, even connecting on him, and somehow, some way, Trummel walks away.
I don't know how he did that. That was such great play by him, dodging so many different things. And a great job, of course, from the Malfurion to be able to help heal back up with that Tranquility as well. And now compLexity nearly caught up. Stormbolt is going to go down, though, and once again, Trummel seems to be the object of attacks.
Yeah, Sprint's on cooldown now, so if he gets himself in one of those scenarios once again, it's not going to turn out the same way. But they're forcing them back. Cloud9 trying to contest these Giants 16 just now being achieved.
There it is indeed. They've got their talents as well, and it looks like Tenacious Roots will come out, as well as True Shot Aura for Tyrande, so really looking to enhance those attacks for her teammates as well. But it looks like Johanna's been speccing into that Iron Skin, so really trying to maintain that sustainability, because the damage from Maelstrom has been insane with this Kael'thas and Falstad.
At this point, her skin is basically titanium, but Falstad is in a bad spot, gonna end up falling a huge pickup for compLexity. This is what they need to bring the game back.
They do. They picked up that takedown there, got another temple activating in a few seconds as well. And with this, guys, we do have the poll still open. Don't forget that you can tweet and let us know who you think is going to win this. Just use the hashtag HeroesWC and the team. Maelstrom slowly eking an advantage here, though, because they have been so strong in this game.
And if you think compLexity can do it, also throw the hashtag BELIEVE, because they need your support now. They're down 3 levels, and the Storm talents are around the corner for Cloud9. Cloud9, in a lot of ways, they can taste victory, but compLexity, they're not done yet.
They didn't give up easily in the last one, and they certainly won't do so now. Falstad still down for 14 seconds, but remember, he can fly right back in as soon as he's back. So that's something that compLexity need to keep in mind, as Storm talents are almost here, just like you said. And the Kael'thas throwing out a lot of damage with the Flame Strike.
Now, we do have to point out, Falstad falling means gathering power stacks have been reset, so he's not as strong as he was before, and in order to empower himself once more, he needs to delete enemy heroes.
Yes, he's going to be looking to do that, especially with that Hinterland Blast. And we do have level 20 talents, the Storm talents being picked up from Maelstrom. Falstad's back in the fight. There's the Hinterland Blast, and Nazebo goes down.
Yeah, his life is forfeit. And as a result, Cloud9 will push in towards this middle keep. It's already incredibly low. The mule will be fired, and because his job was, well, he doesn't have one anymore.
Obviously not. He's going to be gone, and now Maelstrom are going to rotate around. Not feeling quite so confident to go for core right now, but if they can take down another keep, that's 2 lanes pushing with catapults, and that is something that will be great, but Muradin will fall.
That's a big deal. Getting that hero takedown, they have the underdog bonus, additional experience, allowing them to reach level 18. Falstad trying to buy some time for his team to retreat. They'll just fall back and collect some mercenary camps.
Man, compLexity just really fights for their life every time. We saw it in the last game, we saw it this time. But will they be able to catch back up and actually take the game this time? They've got a bit to go. They've only taken down 1 fort. They only have 2 keeps remaining on their side. They also need those Storm talents. They need to get out and land where they can safely. And what is Falstad doing here?
There's 2 ways you can look at this. The keep still the fort still standing means there's more experience available, but at the same time it means their temples have so much work to do. Working on this boss, Falstad actually going to go and poke down. No, that keep has healed up quite a bit from the mule.
Yeah, it has indeed. I'm kind of concerned for iDream here, but he's going to try to make it happen, throwing out as much damage as possible. He got to get out, and he will do so. He has that epic mount, so the wind-up is a lot less time, thankfully, so that he can escape.
It's just a hop and a skip away, but this boss, he's got different plans. He's going to start wailing away at the bottom fort. The mule has dissipated. The shields of Tassadar will help them survive for a little bit longer, but I'm not sure that this fort will continue existing in this game.
And that's experience in the pocket of compLexity, who are moving around, pushing out lanes as much as possible as well. Temples will be activating soon too, and if they're going to be able to contend in some of these fights around the temples, they've got to pick up those Storm talents. They've got to get back on the same level as Maelstrom.
Yeah, it's going to be 21 in just a moment, but like you said, compLexity just about level 20 themselves, and that's what they need. Very hard to fight an even footing without that talent tier.
Ooh, a condemn into the zombie well, but it is on Caffeine, and he's pretty tanky there as that Muradin, and Maelstrom going to hold on to this temple thanks to a really great Phoenix, going to be able to zone compLexity away for the meantime. compLexity having a heck of a time trying to catch up to 20.
They're trying, but that top keep is taking heavy fire from both the mercenary camp and that middle temple. All the while, the top temple has not been touched yet, and as I say that, Falstad flies on up there.
That's exactly what he can do with that epic mount, and because its cooldown is reduced, he'll be able to get away if he needs to as well. I've seen Falstads win this battleground because of that ability, but now compLexity are going to rotate up. They're going to get that, but the middle temple is done, and this means Maelstrom can rotate up with the rest of their members and try to push compLexity off of this one as well, but compLexity have no keeps left.
They're out of structures. It's just the core. So any shots from these temples go straight onto the lifeline of compLexity in the upper bracket. We see Muradin in the front line throwing at the Stormbolt. Blinks is actually quite low, but he's trying to hold on to that tranquility.
And Tassadar going to Dimensional Shift out. There is the Starfall. There's the Hinterland Blast. Does not take anybody out. A great ice block there from Malfurion, keeping himself nice and healthy, as well as his teammates, except for RawrJar, who has to pull away. But meanwhile, Uther is down. He does have that redemption, so he will be able to come back up. That's the swirling that is around him as well. So he's going to be able to heal and then come right back in the fight. But meanwhile, Johanna is very low.
Yeah, nice attempt. Nearly got her. The Flame Strike of Kofalt is just applying so much poke. Phoenix going out in a beautiful location. Cattle is forced to walk through it. He is going to have to use that indestructible Malfurion. Not going to be as lucky. Malfurion has fallen in the top portion of the map, and Cloud9 now has a big window of opportunity.
A perfect job by Maelstrom to try to keep Malfurion away from the rest of the team. There's the Epic Mountain to try to take out members, but he's got to be careful there as the Mutalisk is doing a lot of damage to him.
Bolt of the Storm to survive that fly of the bird. The Mule is healing up this core as if nothing ever happened.
Well, Maelstrom are going to heal back up a bit. They are going to look at maybe some other objectives, but really the only thing is on the complexity side of the battleground. We've got those bruisers that are up, but there are the spawns of the rest of the Merc camps. We're going to see a lot of rotations from both teams trying to hurry and pick those up.
Okay, well, yeah, they're making their way down there, but we have to remember, all three keeps still standing, one fort still standing. This is massively in favor of Maelstrom in that regard, but we're 21 minutes in. A single team fight could easily end the game.
Yes, it could as well, and now we have the Siege Giants being picked up by both of them being picked up by Maelstrom. So this is going to be a really strong push in the bottom lane. Actually, complexity left those bruisers, so they're not even going to have any sort of push in their favor. They're going to rotate instead. We really want to make sure to stop anything that gets too close to their core.
Yeah, really, Cloud9 is just trying to keep them in their base to wait for these temples to spawn, because if they're in an advantageous scenario based on map control, lane control, they can go straight to a temple, hold it down, and pretty much secure a ideally game-winning hold.
Yeah, and that's going to be really tough for complexity because we are going to have the 3 temple activation.
Oh, no.
So as long as Maelstrom can really keep a hold of one at this point, do they need one?
With Mule, they
maybe
kind of
two?
need 2.
All right.
But still, this is such a hard scenario to defend because there's so many options. But Cloud9, they're sticking together. They know that if they get picked off here, they could very much lose the game. Bruisers are there, forcing the hand in a lot of ways by complexity to send someone back to base.
What are complexity going to do to try to deal with this? It's so difficult. We have Tassadar in the top temple. Falstad has flown down to the bottom one. So now they're trying to contest in the mid, but it doesn't matter. They've got to try to push other heroes off. We do see Johanna up top, but
I think that's it. I don't think they can stop this. Johanna's trying, but Falstad, there's nobody even remotely close to him. The core is falling incredibly fast. There are minions that were doing a bit of damage. The shields are down 40% health. Can they hold it long enough?
The power of Falstad showing on this battleground as now 10%. The core is down, and it will go. Maelstrom going to take it with a 2-0 victory in this match.
Wow, some really convincing play out of Cloud9 Maelstrom with that victory in the second semifinal of the upper bracket. They will advance forward here in this tournament.
A great job by them and being able to just consistently keep all of those objectives. There's a whole bunch on there, and they really were able to rotate around, start getting some of those temples, and be able to push their opponents off of the temples constantly, getting more bang for their buck with their mule than their opponents were able to. But Sean, I am anxious to hear what you think about that game.
MVP has got to be the Falstad going into this. I mean, we haven't really seen him a lot in the July Open, but he was definitely a big pick back in June, and we saw why on this map specifically. We're going to go back a little bit there to the level 13 to level 16, and, well, what do we have? A little bit of a team fight, and as you can see, the positioning here has not been that good going the way of complexity on the left, because what happened? Well, we had a big flame strike right here. You can see not only 1, 2, and 3 heroes actually not looking so healthy anymore, they also have that level 16 ignite ticking on them, which means they're about to take a bit more damage. Well, who do we got up here? It's ice blocked Malfurion. Usually good because he can pop off that tranquility while ice blocked, heal up his team. Problem is his team's kind of over here. Now, what am I getting to? Well, I called the MVP false 10. It's going to be a giant squiggly line. I'm going to give 2 or 3 of them here because what happens? Well,
Bacon?
I'll
Is that
show
bacon?
you. Look what's about to happen because 1, 2, 3. I don't actually know where my replay went. I'm so sorry. But all right, here comes the setup. All right, again, big flame strike, big ignite, ice block, triple kill right there. That Hinterland's Blast was so massive, the level 16 to 13 sweet spot, and as you saw later on into it as well, the level 20, the epic mount. He flew everywhere. He hit every objective. He split push, and it's just a great pick on this map.
So, because of your illustration, we're now going to dub that the Bacon Blast, because when you take out 3 heroes at once, clearly it's as good as bacon.
Oh man, I would totally eat that every day if I could.
Bacon Blast?
No, triple kills to my credit.
Excellent.
Well, with that, as well as the rest of their amazing play, we do have Maelstrom winning the series with 2-0. Now, compLexity are not out yet.
Right.
They are going to move down to the lower bracket. But Maelstrom will be moving on to face Tempo Storm tomorrow.
That's pretty hype, Jake.
Yeah, why don't we actually get a quick update on the bracket before we move on? Jester, take us through the bracketology.
All right, so we've talked a lot about what you're going to see with double elimination, and now at the end of day number 1, well, Tempo Storm moved on, Goon Squad moved on. They also fought, and Tempo Storm moved on. compLexity moved on. Cloud9 Maelstorm then as well, and as we just saw at the end of it, it will be Maelstrom versus Tempo at that repeat kind of grudge match there into that top finals area. Into the bottom lane, well, okay, fine, the bottom bracket.
Lane? I like it.
The
I
bracket
like it.
of alternate success has actually shown really good things, not only for compLexity, because they are now going to be down here with another set of life, but Pool Play-Doh Some Tangos, they actually did move on, and they will face off against compLexity tomorrow. And now Cognitive down here, they actually won up against the 2-Arc, who is no longer, but Goon Squad is going to be their big opponent tomorrow. So, what are we going to see tomorrow? Well, we're probably going to start off with these lower brackets, and they will continue moving on, but whoever wins out these matches will face off once more, either Tempo or Maelstrom, because unfortunately, as good as both teams are, somebody is coming down here, and that will be where we're looking for those 2 top teams, finalists. There's going to be 2 of them, and that is what we're going to finalize tomorrow.
Well, I'd love to get some more insight on that winners finals match that we're going to see tomorrow, so let's have a chat with DunkTrain from Cloud9 Maelstorm on their success in that last game. What's up, Dunkus?
Hey, Jake, what's up, man?
All right, Dunk, you're here again. You're in the winners finals. We've seen this happen a lot over the last several weeks, but the result has been the same. How is Cloud9 going to eliminate and upset Tempo Storm this time around?
Wow, Jake, why you gotta make it like that, man? This time, really, I just think that this patch is going to be a lot more favorable for us. We lost a few tournaments on the last patch. Everyone was making a big deal about it, but honestly, for the 4 months before that, we were number 1. So we're really just looking to take back the crown, not so much play like underdogs.
I wouldn't say you're underdogs, but results speak for themselves. You guys have played a pretty diverse set of heroes today. You guys have really started to branch out. I want to hear your thoughts on the support meta that exists right now, because Brightwing, Jester's making a case for her. We didn't see a whole lot of Brightwing today.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect to see any Brightwing in our matches against Tempo Storm. I think both Dreadnought and I pretty much agree. We're not big fans of Brightwing right now. You just need to pack that huge healing punch of a Rhaegar or a Malfurion or even a Lily, I suppose, with Brightwing's most recent round of changes.
Awesome, awesome. So what are your thoughts on the rest of the competition? We're seeing a lot of new names do well in this event. Tempo Storm actually struggled, it looked, against Pool Play-Doh, and even the guys at Goon Squad putting up an incredible fight against them.
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely seeing new talent come to the scene. Pool Play-Doh, Goon Squad definitely put up impressive games, at least. Also 2-Arc with some solid games against us as well. So I think we're really starting to see the gap close a little bit in top ranks, and eventually we'll start to see some upsets. So it's getting pretty exciting.
Well, the final point I have to make is just a big congratulations, because making it here to the winners finals does in fact secure Cloud9 Maelstrom a spot in the regionals happening later this month. So Cloud9, congrats on advancing here, but good luck tomorrow in your games versus Tempo Storm.
Regionals, boys?
Thanks, Dunk. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Jake.
Oh man, that train whistle gets me every time.
It's the best.
It is the best.
You can't beat that. I need a Cloud9 branded train whistle. Like, I would buy that.
You just need a solid Jack egg that you can just show on stream. He has the whistle, you got the egg. You got your thing, don't worry. It's not a train whistle, so it's never going to be as good as Dunk's, but you got your thing, don't worry.
Great.
Yay, an egg. That's really interesting.
Marketable.
It's exciting, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's look at the matches that we will, in fact, be looking at, I think, on Sunday.
Yeah, tomorrow we've got a bunch of matches lined up and ready to roll for you guys. And we can take a look at the way we're going to be starting our day out tomorrow.
So if memory serves, it should actually be cognitive up first.
Ooh. Yeah, actually.
Nope,
this
complexity.
This is so much more helpful to have the bracket in front of us. Complexity versus Pool Play to some Tangos to start out the day, and then we'll follow up with Cognitive versus Goon Squad. And from there, we'll make our way to the upper bracket where Tempo Storm will face off versus Cloud9 Maelstrom.
And of course, the winners of this will move on into face off against the losers at the top. That's actually a lie. Winners of these two will face off, and then whoever does not complete that top bracket will come down here, and then we will have our two teams. So it's basically kind of like that. It's a little bit more fluid in terms of who the teams will be, but still, I believe that's going to be 7 best of 3s tomorrow.
It's 7 if the bracket is reset in the grand finals.
Quite correct.
But at least 6. So a slightly shorter day, but guess what? These are the teams that advance forward. The caliber only goes up as the event continues, and I cannot wait for the rest of the matches. Gilly, Jester, today has been a pleasure, but we'll see you guys tomorrow at the same time, same place, 10 a.m. Be there. We'll see you then.